Hey, what's going on, man?
Dude? It's nothing much. Are we allowed to curse on this?
We can do censored or uncensored. Your choice.
Okay. What the fuck is up, guys?
Yeah, what's going on, man? How you been?
I'm chilling. I'm freaking fantastic, if that's a word. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Just out here living the life of a new 27-year-old. Hopefully I don't die.
There you go.
And that's the best that I can hope for. And keep white lighters away from me. That's about it.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, fuck them. They're bad luck anyway. That's right. You don't need that shit.
Nah. How you guys doing?
Happy birthday again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Happy
so
birthday.
much.
When was your birthday?
My birthday was the 23rd.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah, this past Friday.
Very nice.
It was a great time.
What'd you do? Even in the country, you left.
No, yeah, I was out in Colombia. The motherland.
No shit.
Yeah, dude, I was out there. I spent time with the family. I got there around I think I got there on the 17th. Mm-hmm. And then that whole week was just events and traveled. We went to, we did some like off-roading and did some, on some quads, some dirt bikes. It was just like these mini dirt bikes though. So it looked like I was Donkey Kong riding these shits. Like it was so weird. And I was on these, this active volcano, 3,000 plus feet. So it was cold as fuck, but we did it and the air was thin. I almost fainted. But besides that, it was great, being so close to death, it was invigorating.
Yeah.
Well, you're back in America, so you're probably just as close to death.
True life. America, close to death. That should be the new slogan.
Yeah. How else do you want to feel alive?
Yeah.
So we want to thank you in advance for coming on with us. This is pretty cool.
Hey, man, no problem. Thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate you guys reaching out, man. I miss you guys.
Yeah, same here.
I miss you too. It's been years, right? Like we're talking 2-3 years since I may have bumped into you, or even longer than that. This whole COVID thing messed me up with time. 3
years probably when we crossed each other, I think at Blue Moon maybe once. But before that, when I was actually working there, like 2017, dude. Like,
wow,
that long.
Times have changed. Holy shit.
Yep.
For real, man.
Yeah, 2016, definitely. 2017. Fuck.
Yeah, definitely don't miss that place. But it was a great time. It was great meeting you guys there, and it's shit. I mean, you're still here,
Yeah, still here. It's all about keeping in touch, man. You lose contact if nobody stays in touch, and I guess that's the one thing with some of these social networks. It lets you stay in touch with people that you just never thought you'd stay in touch with if you lost connection somewhere. So it is cool that we did stay in touch.
Very true. Very true. Social networking. I'm telling you, like. I don't know. It's really weird, but it's great. It's like sometimes, they just throw like an old friend your way and you're just like, I forgot about that person.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you just go through their whole profile and kind of catch up without even talking to them. And then just ask them what's up. And then they're like, oh shit, dude. Hey, so it's like, it's definitely a weird encounter. And it's almost sometimes you do ask yourself like, oh, whatever happened to this such and such? And then you end up just searching them up and boom, there they are.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, cool. They're into Herbalife now. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Jason doesn't know.
I was going to catch up, but then. Oh, yeah. And then you have those people too. No, the thing is, that's sometimes you do have those people who do reach out, and all of a sudden they are selling you a service.
Yeah, I had that.
And it's like, oh,
I've had that with dudes in the army, like reach out to me, like after like dudes I went to like basic training with, and it's like 7-8 years later they say, hey man, what's going on? It's like, yo, dude, how you been? Like, oh, not much. Like, listen. How on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in a new and exciting opportunity? It's like, I'm like 0 block.
Opportunity for what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
I will say in some cases, though, it has backfired that I don't really tell everyone in the room that I do mortgages, because then I see my friends buy houses and I'm just like, if they only knew. And then they're like, why didn't you tell me? But I didn't want to tell you because then you'd be like, Chris only is talking to me because he wants to give me a mortgage.
Yeah.
So it's like a catch-22,
Oh, I'm doing the same thing, man. I have I newly opened a business. It's called Roble Roofing and Siding, and so we specialize roofing and siding. I have this guy is working with me. We're partnered up, and he's been in the business for 15 plus years. This guy's great, and dude, he just like hey, let's do this. He actually is my stepdad. So, wow. so I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And bro, it's going super well. And again, I'm reaching out to people, not just, of course, I'm just letting them know, like, hey, just in case, you know someone or whatever, here's my info. If you need a new roof or whatever, I got you. And then I'll just ask them about their day and, be as genuine as possible. But definitely, I had to do some kind of marketing when you start off,
Oh, sure.
Well, Jason, shit, I had no idea you were in the roofing and siding business, and you just told me. And obviously, I do mortgages. Therefore, you should start coming to my events.
Yeah, dude. I'm over here.
Realtors, it's perfect for you. I had no idea that's what you were doing. So
yeah, man.
That's a whole nother subject we want to definitely talk about, but that is awesome, actually. When did you start that? How long ago?
I started at the beginning of this year in January.
Okay.
There you go.
We just opened up, very new business. But again, the experience it's over 10 years, 15 years, and quality of work. We only use like quality materials and stuff like that to reflect our work ethic and stuff like that. So, we are starting off, and we're actually are getting really good business up north in North Jersey. Right now I'm in Sicklerville, which is considered South Jersey, closer to Philadelphia. I'm in Camden County right now.
Okay.
So we're trying to expand down here because consistently travel up and down. It's fucking, it's annoying. And it's a pain in my pocket sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
It's another expense, but hey, we're trying and we're succeeding, and people are coming and going, and people who do end up wanting to work with us, they are super, super content. And that's all we ask, that we leave them happy.
Yeah.
Happier than when we let them.
Dude, yeah. Word of mouth is some of the best, PR you can get.
Oh, for sure. That's exactly how I kind of like got my progress and success with acting too, because I would just let people would ask like, hey, what are you doing? Like, oh, I'm an actor. I do theater. I've done theater for like 4 years, but now I'm transitioning to film, and I've done film for 2 years now, and professionally, of course, getting paid for it, doing all these cool gigs.
Very nice.
Short films, features. Yeah, I've done some music videos here and there. That's how I kind of started off, and even so, like people, since they would know that's how I started off when doing music videos. I had a lot of friends who were musicians, and they were just like, hey, I'm doing a music video, come through real quick. I need you to be this guy who this. So you're basically, there's this girl I want, and you're her boyfriend, and I'm basically going to have sex with her behind your back. That's what I'm like, oh, okay. and that happened the first time. I was like, cool. And then I have people now reaching out to do the same. I'm just like, why is this a thing? But even so, I was just like, no, now it goes against brand. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't have someone banging my girl. I can't do it.
So now you're gonna be typecast already.
Yeah, exactly. Not even fake, fucking me over. I can't even do that. So so that's how it all started, music video stuff. And then I started getting gigs, doing short films, student films. I started getting my reel together. I still don't have representation yet. I am looking for it, but the goal is to end up in LA, because I do have a lot of friends who are out there right now, and they are just doing the best. And I am so happy for them. And I just you know what? Maybe I should go to LA and see what's up with there. Because I love networking. I love talking to people. I love getting to know their story and where they're coming from, and just get a little bit of who they are, really. And that's just it's great. It's great. And that's how I kind of got my background or my knowledge in anything and everything, in a little bit of everything, I think. And that's when I owe it to networking, for sure. That's why I love it.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to networking in general, and how you sort of honed your skills for it, is there any experience you can point to in your past as far as a job you had, or so some sort of occurrence in your past that really pointed you in the right direction as far as how to network with people, how to talk to people, how to sort of break the ice and get them talking?
Oh, of course, man. You know what, honestly, and we've all heard this, and maybe it's redundant, but it's honestly just be yourself. Just be yourself, be genuine, have fun. And the people who are meant for you will be there and will stay and will love the energy you give off and reciprocate it. So as long as you're true to yourself and you're genuine and you're having a great time, there are gonna be people there who want to also have a great time, because who doesn't, right?
Right.
So at that point, they're just gonna stick around, and they're just gonna also have a great time with you. And at that point, when you do get asked a question, ask one back. A question for a question, and even if it's the same question that they asked, it's almost like a how about you, at least 45% of the time.
Okay.
And at that point, you are able to kind of expand the conversation a little bit more and find little tangents here and there. And maybe you're starting off asking about or talking about the weather, and all of a sudden you end up talking about this one chick that that you didn't like, and then you ended up still ending the night with her, or like something like that. So like it's something totally completely different, but that's just how conversation goes. There's no real structure. It's just as long as you have that small talk, and that small talk comes and goes, and then you have things that are happening around you, and you can point it out, express your opinion. And also, here we go, going to a tangent basically, since in my life I've moved a lot. I moved over 8 or 9 times, right? Mm-hmm. I've always had that ability to kind of be able to spark new conversations, spark something, talk about something, whatever it is. If there's an occurrence, and be like, oh, what the hell is that? Or like, someone's like, yeah, I know, right? And then from there, it's like, oh, dude, hey, nice to meet you. And then you can introduce yourself, and you get the ball rolling. And then at that point, you just start genuine and organically having a conversation. So I think that's just the best way to do it. Really be yourself, and especially being, I guess, careful nowadays, because a lot of people are sensitive in certain topics. So just expressing the fact that what you're stating is your opinion and what you believe in, and just making it so, because there are people who do profess and speak as if it's the truth or it's fact when it's actually their opinion. Hey,
it's understanding your crowd too. It's mutual conversation, but then also knowing who you're chatting with. If they're wearing a pin that says Hillary Clinton, you're obviously not going to talk about Donald Trump in a positive way.
Right. And or even so, because at the same time, Chris, it's funny that you mentioned that when it comes to politics or anything, when it comes to belief or truly their philosophy, it's great to have someone who is a devil's advocate, so to speak. That's in air quotes, funny, whatever. To the devil's advocate, to kind of like have that conversation with them, like, hey, look, I'm not here to be against you, but I'm here to also say that there are other side of things that you may not been aware of.
Sure.
So at that point, it can spark another kind of, either it strengthens their belief or weakens it. It's
as
one
long
or the
as
other.
It's a conversation that doesn't turn into an argument. Nobody wants to argue. It's like a Q&A. You're just having a conversation with mutual dialogue that is nice. You don't want to argue with someone.
Exactly. And you also can prompt them too. Like, hey, you're more than welcome to believe otherwise, or, be strongly opinionated about, differently. Have a different opinion. That's more than happy. You can also state that, hey, this is a safe space. I'm judge free, whatever it is. Like, I'm not judging you, or like, this is my opinion. This is how I feel. And we can agree to disagree. I'm a big believer in coexisting, because I have this crazy amount of empathy within my being that I can always understand why someone will do something, even if it's the most heinous crime. But at the same time, it doesn't justify it. It doesn't make it right, but I can understand why they would do whatever they did.
Sure. How do you think that's affected comedy over the years, though? Because it seems like comedy is something that has gotten almost ruined, because you have to be careful with what you say and how you make jokes.
Mm-hmm. So in that case, you have to also, a lot of it has to do with pretext, right? You have to almost hit them with like hey, just in case you didn't know, I'm doing a special, or just in case you didn't know, like, I like to joke around sometimes, or just in case you didn't know, like, or something like that, like where you're saying like, hey, this is a joke, this is how, or this is my opinion. If you again, and when it comes to comedy, it's very opinionated. You have a crowd that you have a niche. You have people that do understand where you're coming from and do like those kind of things and laugh at it with you. You have others who don't, and that's fine. If they don't want to be there or they don't like it, they are not obligated to stay and listen to you. They have every right to go somewhere else and get whatever laugh they'd like from another person who may be like-minded than they are. So when it comes to comedy, I think it's just like, there's so many levels. There's slapstick. There's dark humor, satire, all those different types. Are very dry, very coarse humor that if you're not a sarcastic being, you're not going to understand. You're going to take it seriously. Or if you don't understand certain context clues, or if you don't understand certain body language or inflections of speech, things like that, it's not going to land right. And when you are hit with those kind of situations as a comedian, you're kind of like, okay, this is, you don't want to explain yourself, because then it doesn't make it funny. Or you have to find a way to kind of like, hey, look, you flip it. Hey, look, you bastard, if you're not laughing, and then I'm going to laugh because it's funny that you're not laughing because you think I'm serious, or in things like that. So there's things you need, especially when it comes to a comedian or performing on stage. You need to have that sense of improv. You need to be able to handle hecklers. You need to be able to do all these things. And so actually right now I'm doing my research on that, on handling hecklers, on being able to keep cool and keep yourself very sharp in order to make sure you're not just like silent on stage, or you don't get cold feet, because then that just ruins, a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
don't want to
of.
get angry either, because then
Mhm.
everyone's just going to have videos of you flipping out on someone.
Right.
Exactly. Or again, you can go viral for the wrong reason. Sure, why not? But like,
Yeah.
it depends what reasons they are, of course. But if it is getting you losing your temper, you lost your temper, and that's something you have to now own. You have to wear on your sleeve.
It depends on, I guess, the stage that you're in. Dave Chappelle getting mad at a heckler is different from the guy who got his first lead in a show on a Saturday night. Dave Chappelle's one that goes a little bit risque, I would say. And you would basically say to someone who doesn't like Dave Chappelle's comedy, don't listen to it if you don't like what he's saying, rather than somebody bitching and complaining about his jokes.
I think if you understand that there are people who have just like a state of mind or their upbringing, if you understand where they're coming from and why they're saying the things they're saying and why they're using their platforms, in a sense of a joke or a comedy, there is some truth in the jokes. So if that bothers you, then that sounds like a personal problem, to be honest. So it's like, okay, if you don't agree with them, why don't you agree with it? And why don't you think it's funny? And if you don't think it's funny is because you don't have as much knowledge on the subject as you should, or maybe try to have if you're going to listen to Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle is a very intellectual comedian. This guy is smart. And what he says, if you don't know the subject matter, what he's talking about, it's going to fly over your head. And you're just going to either laugh at the crowd or just stay there watching him still, because he still gets your attention somehow, some way.
Let me play devil's advocate here for a second. Like, isn't there a point, though, where it is kind of on the comedian to know where the line is? And like, I get that part of comedy is crossing the line from time to time in a way where you've led the audience with you, or you've led the listener with you, so that you arrive at like sort of an absurdity, and you can stand back and say like, look, we all got here together, and that's part of the joke. That's part of the shared experience. But like, isn't it also somewhat the comedian's responsibility to have sort of a gauge of what lines to cross and what lines are maybe like, hey, maybe I should stay away from this one?
I do think it depends what your end goal is. If you're doing comedy to please others and to do, all that stuff where you are catering to other people who are in the crowd, then, you definitely have to be careful what you say. If you're going after a certain kind of audience, yes, of course. On the other hand, if you are doing it for yourself and you are doing things, saying things or coming up with material that is funny to you, then I feel like that's going to land even better, because it's more genuine and it's coming and you can see it, you can feel it. And instead of just like catering to the audience, of course, you have certain people who want to be funny and be known to be funny, and they want that validation from people. Okay, I totally get it. But like you said, man, I think it depends.
You're kind of saying it depends more on like the intent, right? Like the intent behind
your intention,
the humor in the first place.
For sure. It depends on your intent behind of what exactly are you saying.
Okay.
What exactly message do you want to portray? And there's so many vantage points you can do when conveying a certain message. Especially if you want to take the sarcastic route, or you want to be like literally slapstick, like, use props, which is either your camera, a stool, a water bottle, anything, the sounds you can make with your mouth, anything, your body, whatever you want to use. There's certain ways you can do that where you can say things and not really say anything. You know what I'm saying?
No, I definitely get that. I know one of my favorite examples of slapstick was this comedian Neil Hamburger. He was opening for somebody. He was at like some festival or whatever. And he did a 5-minute set, and it was just him continuously spilling his drinks. He had like an armful of mixed drinks, and he just kept spilling them and like knocking the microphone over. And then he'd pick the microphone up and spill the drinks. And then he'd go to mop it up, and he'd slip and fall and knock the microphone over. And he did it for like 5 minutes straight, and it didn't feel forced at all. It just felt organic the whole time. And the whole time he's going like, oh, okay, all right, here we go. All right, now we're getting the show on the road. And he kept knocking stuff over. And it was great. That was one of my favorite opening acts of all time. And he didn't say anything really the entire time.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that.
It's also
that's genius.
And that's hilarious too. You can also use your facial expressions, and like you said, you can while you're on stage, you don't really have to say anything at all. Maybe you can use one or two words. It can be funny still. Depending on your actions when you do on stage, because people are seeing it, and you have all the effects you can do with the mic. Either get really close, or you can get far away and yell and use your project or whatever it is. And there's a lot of things you can say without saying. It's a lot of things.
I loved comedy specials when you were able to watch them like on HBO and stuff like that. Like listening to it on the phone or in the car, or like even on a CD player, you don't get that feeling of seeing it. Like back in the day, do you remember that Adam Sandler CD where like he had the goat?
Oh,
Do you remember that comedy?
Goat Man or whatever.
The goat. Yeah. You could just imagine Adam Sandler's facial expressions while he's impersonating a goat. Watching him live do it is probably hysterical. It's probably double as funny because you're seeing his facial expressions. I like Adam Sandler. He is one of my favorite comedians back in the day, not new Adam Sandler, but he got me to laugh a lot back in the day. And it's just like, if only you could see his facial expressions, because you're right. There is something to comedy with actions and facial expressions, with the delivery of the jokes.
I mean, just look at Charlie Chaplin. That man never said a thing.
Yeah.
When he was doing his slapstick stuff. I mean, just seeing those series of events where he was just like almost dying or almost just like getting in crazy dangers, precarious moments, and just like being okay.
Yeah.
So like you're telling me this is the kind of guy, he's just going to wander into a construction site where they're building a giant building and all these beams and stuff are walking through and breaking things, and he's just walking through and reading a newspaper, not seeing where he's going, and all like, you know, by chance he survives.
And he does it all with a straight face
Like,
too.
He's one of my idols. When that guy, I feel like it's great. The slapstick humor stuff. I don't know. Even fart sounds are always funny. Poop jokes are always funny. I'm writing a script right now about these two guys were given a business, and they sell ties, and they were giving it to this guy who posed as a homeless man, and he was actually a millionaire about to die. And in his will gave him this business, and they own a tie shop. And the first episode, the pilot, is about this guy, Mitch, who can't poop in private. He has to have someone in the bathroom to poop, to take a shit. So today I was literally just searching up a bunch of random, like funny poop names. And this list had me rolling on the floor for about 15 minutes. And it's just the stupidest words, the stupidest phrases. One was like bake a loaf. I'm gonna go bake a loaf. I gotta go blow mud. I gotta cook a butt burrito. Like all these crazy, all these sayings, and there are 69 of these motherfuckers. Like 69 of these, and it's just like all these random phrases. Slop some bum slugs. Like, what is this?
That's a unique one.
Yeah, these are things I never heard before, and it's just like they just had me rolling, and it's just so funny. Like poop jokes never die, fart jokes never die. The sounds they just for some reason, for me at least, they just never cease to put a smile on my face. I don't know if that makes me dirty or not, but it just cracks me up.
You know.
So it looks like you went more the comedy route. Is that accurate, that you're more going towards the path of comedy rather than something that's on a more serious note?
Well, that's the thing. So I was able to be fortunate enough to attend this room on Clubhouse. So this application Clubhouse is able to have multiple rooms, and like it's basically like a panel, and you have people who are on the panel, who are moderators, who are on stage basically, and then you have people who are in the audience who are just there to listen. But if there's a Q&A or whatever it is, people who are moderators can bring up people from the audience and have them speak and ask their question. Oh. So you had all these different kinds of people coming in, and especially like when it came to acting, I had a lot of people who are casting directors do it, a lot of people who are agents, producers, writers, everything. And they'll just have these Q&As. So I was able to use this service with Wendy Elaine Wright. She is a manager, ex-agent, and what she does is she helps people start from zero, and create a package to then get representation. What she has, part of her classes is getting your type down in order to get your headshot done, because that's what they're looking for nowadays. A headshot is no longer just a pretty picture; it's who can you play, right? And it doesn't have to do with how good how good of an actor you are. It's more about your aesthetic. So I was able to get typed by this guy who is professional typer, I guess you could say. And he gave me goofball. He gave me best friend. He gave me slacker. He gave me, and then inner turmoil. So I was like, oh, inner turmoil. So he was saying like, yeah, you have the look like Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society. You have Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. You have, those kind of those features there. You can be funny, you can be a goofball, but you can also have that serious take on, Steve Carell. So basically, yeah, so like those kind of characters. So I was like, okay, cool. So, and mini video clips of just me dressing as the type and then going through the emotions of, happy, sadness, angry, confused, goofy, concerned, and going through with that. So when it comes to type, I was typed as, again, just to reiterate, just goofball, slacker, best friend, and inner turmoil. Guy who's just like depressed, lost it all, and maybe like a Joaquin Phoenix in the Joker type. Like I was typecast as, which I was like, oh, this is great.
I have to tell you because I think look does have a lot to do with it. And because I see pictures with the blonde hair and the brown facial hair.
Yeah.
I actually think bad guy in like the supporting role that's partnered up with the other bad guy. You know how you have the main boss and then you have the two guys that are beneath the boss that are going to go do the job for him. You give off that look with the dyed blonde hair and the brown facial hair of the secondary henchman.
Yeah. The guy, like, what's his name? I guess you could say like Rush Hour, the main villain, like kind of like him, but if there was a higher up after him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Rush Hour
like
number one.
Because you really do pull that look off. It's rare where you see somebody that can pull off the blonde hair with the brown facial hair.
Right.
You really do pull it off. I couldn't. I'd look like a fucking
Oh man, to see Chris with blonde hair, that'd be great. Oh man.
That would be pretty funny.
Man.
Dude, should I do it?
You should do it.
Yeah, straight from Backstreet
I need to
Boys.
dye my hair soon because I am getting a couple of grays. So maybe I'll just fuck around
Just
and
go
make it blonde for like.
You're gonna look
Do
like
it.
Gordon Ramsay's like awful cousin.
Dude, I'm gonna look like Robin Williams in one eye.
Put his thing in your mouth.
Terrible scene.
Oh my god.
Caught me off guard so much. I started cracking up next to my mom when I was like 12 years old watching that movie, and she's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's what you should do. After you do that, like wear the vest and everything and be like, I don't understand. They were only pictures. I think you can pull that off really good.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's really cool though, that you're a writer too. So
Yeah.
you're writing comedy, you're kind of on the direction of sticking to comedy. So now when you write, do you write a role for yourself or do you write and you envision other characters? Because Tom and I write too. But the thing is, when we write, we kind of envision ourselves as actors, which I think is tough when you're trying to branch out a little bit. So I'd say that's a struggle with my writing skill in particular, because when I write, I definitely picture myself as some sort of character or Tom as some sort of character, because we've written a couple of pilots. So when you're writing your screenplays, do you see yourself in one of the roles or do you write it for anyone?
Well, what you guys are doing is spot on. It's spot on because that makes the writing process so much easier. It makes it so much easier where it's like, it's you and you can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. And then, but like you have the qualities, you have a blueprint right in front of you. If you're looking in the mirror, you have the blueprint in your brain of just picking out what your qualities want, like what you want your qualities to be and what your actual qualities are when it comes to things, because that's what makes it genuine. If you're writing as if it's like just yourself as the actor, that makes it way more easy. So like that's what I did when I wrote this feature film called Twin Flames. I worked on it with my buddy Jared Pettit, and him and I we met each other in acting class about 2 years ago, and we just like really hit it off. We maintained the connection during quarantine, and we were like, dude, we got to do something because this isn't it. Like, it was really hard when it came to coronavirus and acting. All the productions stopped. So we were just like, we got to do something. We got to keep our creative juices flowing, my man. What are we going to do? So we were like, hey, look, let's write this script. Okay, cool. Funny enough, first we wrote a murder mystery podcast called Death on Aisle 5, which is almost done. We're almost done recording that. That's a banger for sure. And I'll tell you about that in a second. And then we got into Twin Flames, which is a whole feature. It's an action comedy. And it's basically when two polar opposites are forced to get along. They find themselves awkwardly saving the world from an unsuspecting evil force. And along the way, they forge the perfect bromance. So it's very like raunchy humor. He had the idea kind of in his head that he wanted to do an action comedy. I was like, all right, cool. I did help a lot with the dialogue. I did help a lot, putting these characters together because I'm a big believer in diverse casts. So since it's an action comedy, it has to do with spies. It's these two dudes, Devin and Ted. Ted is getting married to Devin's sister, Ronnie. And basically, Ted is having a bachelor party. And what Ronnie does is calls up this kind of strip club who does like themed bachelor parties. And the theme was spies. And so Devin goes to the meet point wherever they had to go meet. And the B plot is basically the actual spies on a mission are these two females who are trying to get possession of this fatal virus that's locked in a cube and is activated with water. So basically, they go to a similar rendezvous point because they now have to partner up with American agents because of their jurisdiction. So the rendezvous is actually at the same place as Devin and Ted's, and there's a swap. So Devin and Ted go on a real mission while these American agents, who are not really shown throughout the film, are at a strip club just enjoying the time of their lives and not saying a certain thing. So Devin and Ted are just like out there saving the world without really knowing it. And then it's of course revealed, and I can't spoil too much, but that's basically the gist. Devin's character is based on me and my qualities, and he's just this arrogant fool who really was part of cancel culture. So he's trying to build himself back up, and now he landed a big interview with this crazy chef because he's a food critic. So and Ted is just like this goofball. He's just like mama's boy, still lives with his mom at 29, and that's loosely based off of Jared. so it was very I don't know, it was very immersive. So when it comes to dialogue, it's very cool. You have the other two real agents. Alessandra, she is from the Mexican agency in Guadalajara, and she has sometimes, her Spanish she has very thick accent. Her Spanish comes out a lot in the film. Then you have another character, the other agent. Her name is Jamie. She's from the British, basically. She's from Interpol. And so she is working again with Alessandra to beat this guy named Vikitor. And this guy, Vikitor Van Frampugel V, is trying to kill everyone, like all great villains do. Yeah.
Very nice.
So who's the villain based off of?
The villain is based off of, I want to say, I got a lot of Dr. Evil vibes from him.
All right.
Okay.
But he's Russian. So I love his accent. His accent is beautiful. Very, very thick Russian accent.
Very nice.
So Tom, we weren't too far off thinking ourselves of the main characters of our stuff.
Yeah, no, I guess not. See, it's good to get some validation.
Oh, dude, it's that's it's like dopamine, serotonin all over.
So I have to say, I'm intrigued by a podcast movie. So how does that work? Are you all in separate locations and you're basically acting out your parts via a microphone and creating an atmosphere? Is it all dialogue, or is there like a narrator as well?
So that podcast. So this is this Twin Flame is a feature film that's going to be shot, just like a regular feature film would. We're right now we're in multiple contests for writing contests to get publicity and to possibly get representation and work with a production company.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Break a leg.
Thank you so much. And this other one that we wrote called Death on Aisle 5 is a 5 episodic series, 5 episodes. Basically, it's this guy named Benjamin Gumshoe, who's a retired private eye stuck in film noir. So he talks like, he has like a Batman-ish voice, very deep, like Casanova almost. And then basically he is in current time period. So that's what makes that's his little quirk, where he talks very like, I was typical Tuesday in a Tweensville. And just kind of like talking like that while everyone's talking normal. But he gets looped into this case that becomes personal for him. And you have all these characters. In this case, what we do is actually we have a Google Meet, right? We use Google Meet. We meet up with each other online visually, of course, because I'm down here by Philly. I have another actress. Her name is Juna Sai. She's based in New York. And then we have Jared Petit, who is right now in Oklahoma. Just kidding. Ohio. One of those O states.
They're all the same.
He's in Ohio.
Okay.
So what we do is we meet up on our Google Meet. We have everyone there. I have my headphones on so I can hear them, but the microphone will catch it. And then we have our script up and we just do the scene. I'm playing like at least 7 or 8 different roles. I have like narrator. I am one of the villains. His name is Mediocre Melvin. What else? Let's see. I have this guy named Alto Alfred. I play another Ubi driver. There's this character named Ralph. This guy, he's basically like, have you ever seen the Amanda Show before?
Yeah, a long time ago. Amanda Bynes?
Yeah, Amanda Bynes. Yeah. You know that little bit with Drake Bell where he's like totally Kyle? Like, totally. And he just has like a couple one-liners that just fucking hilarious. Like, one time I was walking down the street and I saw a squirrel. And he was like, sup. And I was like, sup. Totally. And then that's it. And that's the whole thing. So in this certain episode with Ralph, this character is just a stately security guard who happens to be in possession of the security footage of the murder that happened in Floor Mart, which is the scene of the crime. And basically what happens is that every time he does speak, he gets knocked the fuck out. And while he's unconscious, every time he is knocked out, he has this dream sequence of commercials that he has seen. And in those commercials, I'm basically voicing the majority of those commercials. There's this one with Dr. Roberto, who is this fake doctor who is just putting on an ad on TV to get some kind of money. There's this other guy he's basically an owner of a blue grass mill, which he's trying to sell you grass and like literal grass, like patches of grass or like corn on the cob, just something stupid like that. His name is Ronald. So it's just like a bunch of different voices. This guy's more country. Ronald is saying like stupid shit like, come on down to Ronald's corn on the cob bluegrass mill. I'm talking about the best grass you've ever seen in your whole life. Stuff like stupid things like that, where he basically all these sequences of commercials help him piece together who actually did the murder. Is what it is. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And when did that come out?
That we are currently recording our final episode. So all we had to do is really edit that last one. Then we're going to start marketing. Hopefully we'll have it out by Halloween this year.
And what's it called?
It's called Death on Aisle 5. Yeah, it's a 5-series episodic. It's basically each episode is another vantage point. So each character is based on one of the characters who are just a part of, I guess, the scene of the crime, whoever was there, whoever witnessed it, who was there that day. And just like in the eyes of different people, but it's all the same day.
All right. So Death on Aisle 5, it's a 5-parter. And then are you doing weekly releases, or is the whole 5 episodes come out at one time?
Yeah, I think we're going to do weekly releases for sure.
That's smart.
Okay.
I like that. How long are the episodes roughly?
Oh, these are like, I want to say like 20 pages. So they're not longer than 25 minutes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's been our struggle with our
I was
podcast.
gonna say,
we've been trying to keep this under an hour, and we can't.
It's so hard.
No, I mean, for sure. It's definitely difficult. I mean, I would be on this all day if I could. There's so much to talk about and so many things that we could talk about. It's just like endless opportunities. So
we treat this like a TV show, Tom and I. Like, I don't know if you listened to our pilot, but we literally treated our pilot of this podcast like an episode of a TV show because, listen, pilots suck. Where we know our pilot is not that great. That's what we wanted to make it a point of. There are a couple of good television pilots, but then when you actually watch an entire series, it's like, man, that pilot kind of wasn't that good anyway.
You go back and watch the pilot and you're like, how did that ever get me into this show? I've done that before.
I think a lot of it has to do with the cliffhangers at the end. A lot of it has to do with, well, I guess I'm going to have to find out what happens because I'm just not going to be able to sleep for the next couple of days if I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about being enticed to come back next week.
And that's kind of like a difficult thing to do because as a writer, you kind of want to write everything out and just be like, here you go, boom, done. Enjoy yourself. Depending, of course, what you want to do. That's just me.
So who motivates you to continue writing comedy?
Judd Apatow, for sure. I feel like when he did Step Brothers and all these other films, I feel like they're fucking hilarious, man.
Judd Apatow is very solid as a writer. I feel like almost everything he's been involved with, even if he's only involved in like a small part, like he just takes it up that notch.
This guy is great. I mean, the 40-Year-Old Virgin, come on.
Classic.
Like that, in casting Steve Carell in that part, oh my gosh. Like those things, I feel like it was a really good ones. And then the cast that he keeps around, the actors that he keeps around, they just work with his style of writing so well. So I really enjoy it. You know, him working with Will Ferrell, him working with Seth Rogen, all these, even James Franco. Like,
I thought Funny People was actually a phenomenal movie that you see it the first time and it's like, it wasn't really as funny as I thought it would be, because you're thinking you're going into like a comedy. You're going to laugh out loud the entire time. But when I watched that movie the second time, I really, really appreciate it for what it actually was. Like, it was a great movie if you actually don't think you're going to be laughing throughout the entire thing.
Yes. And that's the thing too. A lot of it, it's like, it's truth. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's actual events or things that people actually go through, but these particular people find the humor in those things, which makes it funny. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, I think that's part of comedy too. You know, really, really understanding a serious situation, but finding the light in it, finding the humor in it, and that yes, it sucks, but you're here laughing at it. And where you know, normal situations, you would just be like super depressed and not happy at all.
I think you have to find the humor in a lot of situations. I said it before in one of our earlier shows that your day could be total shit, but it could always be worse. So you just kind of have to laugh at what your day is, because if you don't find the humor in it, it's your time is gone. So you have to find the humor in some of the worst of situations, because it really could be worse. Yeah,
your time on Earth is limited. So the time you do have, even if it is bad, like you gotta at least kind of laugh.
Gotta find the comedy in it.
Oh yeah, and that's that's part of it. I mean, find the comedy in something. It's sometimes it takes no effort at all. But other times, holy crap, you're just trying to find like that laugh. You're like, oh man, this sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. Or, like, what is going on?
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, well, then something just radical happens, or something like pops up on your feed, or you walk outside or have that little swift, what's it called? A sweep of inspiration of something sorts. And you just like, you know what? All of a sudden, that little moment. You see a leaf fall from the tree and you're like, oh shit. But like, what does that leaf do? The leaf decomposes back into the earth, creates nourishment, and then helps the tree grow again. So like, you're still playing a part, and you're not really talking about death here, but you're talking about just having that moment where, you know, you do fall, or you do have that little episode of, you know, dang, I'm in the rut here. I don't know how I'm gonna get out without a ladder type of thing. And then, you know, the leaf falls from the tree and it becomes a pile of leaves, and then you jump in it.
That's a really good metaphor. I like that, because sometimes you know, sometimes it's really hard to, when you just see the leaf falling or even the leaves falling, you know, it's hard to kind of make sense of it all until they're all there in a pile, and then it's like sometimes it's hard to take things in perspective until you really see all the dice have been cast and everything else, all the cards have fallen, and then looking back at it in hindsight, sometimes is the only time where you really do get the laugh out of it.
Yeah, that even happens when in relationships. Like, you know, even if you're in toxic relationships, you may not even know it because you're in it. People who are outside looking in are like, hey, dude, you know, whatever. This doesn't look good. I don't think I like this for you. You're just like, oh, you're just hating because you're not in a relationship. You don't have anyone who loves you and stuff like that. And in the meantime, you're getting fucked over. So it's like, what's going on, really? But and then at the end, when it does happen to end, and then you look back, you're like, holy crap, this was terrible. Why didn't I not listen to this person? So it's a lot of like, when it comes to things like that, reflecting a lot and being aware of yourself and your feelings, even I think that's like the best quality to have this sense of awareness, for sure. Because, you know, a lot of the times you're stuck doing something, and then you stop and you look back and you're like, oh crap, I really did that, or I really looked like that, or like, you know, I really treated people this way. I don't believe it. Wow.
And I think that's that kind of awareness is like the most important thing you can have for comedy too, because for a lot of things, I think, but comedy especially, because it's that level of awareness, I think, that takes comedy to the next level where it is, where you can sort of observe something in a grander scale and not just it's not just, a funny line here or there. It's like the whole situation is funny. If you pan out and you look at it from a bird's eye view, you can realize, that's I think the height of just not even just sarcasm, but black humor in general, dark comedy in general. It's more of like, it's the bird's eye view where it's like, when you look at it, the whole situation is kind of funny.
Yeah. Cause like, again, we're humans on this big ass rock called Earth. And we're swirling around this ball of fire that's like, however many times as big. And it's just like, there's so much more out there that these little things that do happen to us, we take so seriously and we take it to heart. And we're at fault for it, but sure. But like, it's our we do it unto ourselves, but that's totally normal too. That's like, hey, like, because this is our world. We do live in it. We are the main characters in our own worlds too. And to think of that, where you have this existential moment where you see someone walking down the street, whoever they are, and in their world, they're the main character.
Sure.
And you realize that and you see that happen and you're like, holy crap, I'm a nobody. I'm this just like extra walking by them while they're dealing with their own crap. And I'm over here sulking where I'm irrelevant to this individual. And you're like, oh shit. So what else could be irrelevant? Because if I'm irrelevant, then all the problems I'm having are irrelevant as well. And now they're no longer problems and you feel a little lighthearted. That's just my way of thinking. When I do have those moments, it's like, yeah, I could be dealing with this, but at the same time, like I also have the capability of taking control and sitting in the driver's seat and really making a change or for the better, whatever the situation is, or get that task done or start. That's the most difficult thing. I feel like starting is the most difficult thing in the world.
Absolutely.
Because you can have all these ideas that you want to have and want to create and want to display for the whole world to see, but the starting factor and a lot of it comes from society because you feel put under the spotlight with anything you put out and how like people are going to convey it and people who are going to judge and say things because of course they have every right to say whatever they want, but this is something that you created. It's your baby,
right?
And you want to really protect it and you want to protect it for the world so much that you don't even want to show the world. And you have all these thoughts of what if it doesn't work out? What if it's something that's crap? What if I put this out and no one wants to work with me? Or like, what if this, what if that? What if I just do it and nothing happens and I'm just still in the same space as I am before? Like, what if? But then I had this moment where it was just like, what if can work both ways? What if this was something that could change your life for the better? What if this was something that could change other people's lives for the better? What if this was something that can uplift you? What if this is the one thing that could change everything for you and put you in the place where you want to be? And it's like, dang, once you think about it like that, you're like, shoot, might as well just do it because who else? Well, no one else is paying my bills.
Yeah.
No one is putting a roof over my head. No one else is like, I'm the one doing that. Let me just do it.
Yeah, you got to try it because you don't want to live 50, 60, 70, 80 years wondering the what if I actually did it, because every day time goes on, it's one less day you actually had to try it.
I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Instagram has this filter now where if you choose, you don't have to show the amount of likes you have on your post. You can hide the likes. So at that point, if that's really something that bothers you, you can just remove that feature.
Wow.
And I think that could really help people who are struggling to start because of that fear of judgment.
Sure. Definitely.
Kudos to Instagram. Fucking Instagram is.
Yeah, that's pretty forward thinking for a social media platform. Although I don't know. I guess social media platforms are forward thinking by nature, I suppose. But that seems like an angle that I wouldn't expect them to necessarily go in. So yeah, kudos to them.
Or Mark Zuckerberg posted something, he didn't get that many likes, and he got a little annoyed at it. And was just like, you know what?
That's literally it. That's literally it.
He came in one day and his lizard eyes were just blinking furiously. Guys, we need to come up with a filter.
Sean Parker posted the same thing and got 10,000 more likes than me. This is not okay.
I am the owner, goddammit. I created this. I own Instagram.
I know I have to sit on a booster seat during the meetings. I don't care.
Bring me another pad.
So let me ask you then to kind of bird's eye view here, like looking way back. What was the thing that decided to get you into acting? What was the thing that prompted you to say, like, you know what, like, screw it. I'm not going to wait around anymore. It's not going to just be like a dream of mine. It's actually going to be something that I'm going to do, that I'm going to make happen. What was that moment like for you?
So honestly, I had people around me who just gassed me the hell up, like really. So like, oh, you look like you can act, you do this, because I was the funny fat kid, right, in my school. If I did not have the looks, I had to have some type of trait that would get me some type of attention, whatever that was, because that's just how I was. Yeah. That's how I was when I was growing up. So I was the funny guy. Sometimes I failed miserably. Who doesn't? Probably most. But I that's what I did. I created that quality for myself and just became the funny fat kid. And then from there, I started going through puberty. I started getting a little bit more cute.
There you go.
And well, people kept saying to me like, hey, look, you should try it out with this and then I'm like, yeah, me being self-centered as I am and whatever, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? I'm an actor, damn it. I could do this. I had the charisma for it, I guess. People would tell me. But at the same time, my brother, who's super into films and watched at least 3 or 4 movies a day, because he would use the other time to go work. I would sometimes just walk in and sit down with him and watch these films. And I was so, I don't know how to say it, not appalled, but more like so interested in how the actors on the screen were able to make you feel a certain way. Whether you hated them or you loved them or you felt bad for them or you wanted something for them, like as if they're real. Like they like there was a story that was being told and you were just like in the front seat watching it all unfold in front of your eyes, and they did not notice you. You didn't have any kind of responsibility to help them, to procure whatever they needed. All you needed to do is sit and watch. And that feeling of being able to have, I don't know, inflict some kind of emotion onto the viewer, that really got my attention. I was like, how crazy is it that this person doesn't really exist? Like, this is a made up character. And he's making me feel like I want to kill him. Or you're making me feel that I want the best for him and he's just an awesome person that I want to meet and want to be friends with. So that feeling in itself made me want to do acting. It made me want to tell a story. It made me want to be a storyteller. That's what actors are. They're just telling a story. They're really just making it real for the people who are watching and really teach morals and just how books are being written. And when you read them, they're like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Or like, maybe I shouldn't do this because if I do this, I'm going to end up like this guy. And now you have films that are like, oh, this guy was doing something that, this other guy did and failed, but look, this guy's succeeding. Whoa, interesting. So there's another on a perspective, or there's another like way that things can go. So I think just really the storytelling part of it is really what made me want to do acting. It really wanted me to pursue it, and really like I just enjoyed it, being able to put on someone else's shoes and live their life and just really tell a story that could cause some sort of emotion and way of thinking in other individuals. It's really what made me want to do acting.
Sure. Well, that's really cool, man. That's a really good answer. That's because to me, there's always, and I mean, I'm not an actor. I'm not anybody who's ever, obviously I thought about it. I think a lot of people consider it at one point, but there's a definite wall, I think, between the people who consider it and they're just like, whatever. And then they move on to something else. Mm-hmm. And the people who truly decide like, no, you know what, this is something I want to pursue. And I think one of the things that really separates those people from like, just the dreamers to the actual doers is like, there is sort of a mystique. And I've always appreciated it kind of from the outside, but there is a mystique about a person who's able to adopt the characteristics and the lifestyle and just like the sort of like the idiosyncrasies and just characteristics of this other person and just become that. And to do that convincingly on screen, I think is tremendously difficult. And I give props to anybody who's able to do it with even a shred of conviction, because personally for me, I would never be able to do it. So like I have a lot of respect for anybody who can do that. I think that's really, really cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that, because I have a lot of people that I've witnessed who say like, that he's getting paid how much? I could do that. And I'm just, I hear it. And I'm just like, dang, you know what? I wish they can really try to see if they can do it or not. I wish they can really have that opportunity to see if they can actually do it, because being an actor is very difficult. You're dealing with a lot of things and a lot of mental strain, especially when it comes to auditioning even. You know, you have to be able to get, be rejected. You have to be able to be okay with that or understand why. And you deal with a lot of rejection. You deal, when you are transitioning into that your character, it's a process. It's a lot of mental work, and it messes with your psyche a lot. And every time you finish with a character, a little bit of the character sticks with you. So you tack on another personality trait, and then morphs kind of who you are as a being. And if without proper training, you can really get lost. And your body is your tool. Your whole body. So you have to take care of it. You have to be able to be athletic. You have to be able to take care of your voice properly. You need to be able to do process work so you don't get lost in the character and be able to put on a stellar performance. And you do justice to the writer, you do justice to the people who are watching it, because it's also a form of art, and art changes people and makes people think a certain way and feel a certain way. And that's what everyone really needs in life. Any kind of art, that's what it is.
Yeah, and you have to be able to take constructive criticism. You can already tell the world right now that there's 30% of people who can never go into acting because they can't take constructive criticism from people. They take it too personally. And I feel like acting is one of those things where you need to be able to take some sort of direction. And if you're doing something wrong, it's not in the eyes of what the director wants. You have to be able to take it and not take it personally. You're creating a character. It's not yourself. Exactly. So you have to take the criticism.
Exactly. It's not about you, man. It's not about you. It's about the characters, about the work. It's about the whole thing in general.
I think you could apply that to a lot of aspects in life. Just a lot of people self-limit because they take criticism personally, and they can't separate themselves from the thing that they're doing. And a lot of people just see things one way, and they're very narrow-minded when it comes to how they do something. So any kind of criticism that is levied against whatever it is they're doing, they can only see it as an extension of themselves, and therefore that criticism is attached to them. So I think a lot of people plateau on the basis of that anyway. So I can't imagine in something like acting where it is like, you are formulating this character. I could see how a lot of people would get turned off from that. But yeah, ultimately it's just like anything else. It's not just because it's an extension of you in the thing that you're doing. The criticism levied against that thing is not necessarily against you as a person, and nobody's trying to actively cut you down for the sake of cutting you down.
That's exactly it. You have to also understand that. I mean, it also comes with the level of expertise you have. It's different if someone comes in, it's a fresh face, and you never worked with the director before, or you're just, fairly new in the industry and you are working on something. It's totally different than working with, Hugh Jackman or what's his name, Tom Hanks or something like that. People who are seasoned veterans, in the acting industry. Those are just a few, so you have the capability of like mentioning, hey, look, this is, how about we try it like this? How about we try it like that? And being able to be like, okay, why not? Let's try it. And that's the whole thing. I think that's what it is. You need to have the superpower of trying. You need to have the superpower of trying, because why not? Why not?
Definitely.
Especially when it comes to acting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would help a lot of people, just the idea of not, of doing that thing that, is a passion, but isn't sort of a safe spot for you to sit in. It's risky, and it takes some getting criticism, and it takes a little bit of a thick skin from time to time. You can't be afraid of that kind of stuff. You have to have to sort of plow forward with it and move ahead with that thing that you believe in.
Yeah, you have to almost invite it.
Yeah.
You want that construction criticism, because you don't have a mirror in front of you. You can't see yourself doing what you do. So you have to have that outside point of view to see kind of like, all right, that works, but maybe we should do this instead, or worked with this a little bit more. How about you just do this differently and just see what it is? And again, depending on the level of expertise, they'll trust you to do whatever differently. And you have another opportunity, I would say, to adjust your performance.
I think it's fair to say that Jack Nicholson is probably one of everyone's favorite actors. And he didn't get to where he was in his career without accepting criticism for not doing something correctly. He got shit probably up until Something's Gotta Give. But even when he was filming The Shining, he got critique from Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. Like, he was criticizing every action Jack Nicholson was doing. And he took that constructive criticism to create create that masterpiece.
It's because it's not just about him. It's about the whole art piece as a whole. It's about the whole picture. Oh my gosh. If you guys ever have a chance to be on set for whatever thing, the amount of people who are working on a single project, it's just beautiful. It's just like shrinking down to very tiny, like ant size and walking into a watch. It's just like all these moving parts and they all work with synchronicity. And it's just like, oh man. And the language they have, and they have fun while they do it. And everybody understands each other. And they're just like, it's like a well-oiled machine. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So to be a part of something like that and be so self-centered to not want to accept criticism, it's like, oh, buddy, you're not in the right place.
Yeah. As we wrap this up, what is your advice to a newbie actor, someone or actress, someone that wants to get into the business? Like what is the advice you would give them to go for it?
It's a great question. What I would say is to always be true to yourself. Give yourself the credit you deserve. And I would say to be consistent. Consistency is key. Making sure you're always working, even when you're not on set. You're learning, you're taking a class, you're reading a book, you're memorizing a monologue, you're recording a small scene, you're auditioning, you're sending in self-tapes. You are always working as an actor. So I would say to always, first of all, drink a lot of water, hydrate yourself. Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're eating. Make sure you're taking care of your body, because it does take a toll mentally and physically. Do yoga, meditate. There's a lot, but when it comes down to it, I would say be genuine. Really also take breaks from acting. Because I feel like I find myself that I'm working so much, I become mentally exhausted. I don't want to do it anymore. Sometimes I feel like that. So you make sure you schedule in some breaks, take a walk, go on a hike, take a trip with some friends, go out for a drink, do something outside of acting that helps you recharge, whatever that is, and then just come back to it. And that's the thing, like any kind of, even a vacation or a walk in the park can really trigger some type of way of thinking or aspect that you can bring back into your acting. Maybe you witness something, or you just see a guy sitting on a bench feeding some pigeons. And you're like, wow, look how he's flicking his wrist and throwing the bread. And that may have been, you may use that and adopt that as a quirk for some kind of character that you get casted for. Things like that. There's so little things, and there's a lot, man. There's so much to say.
There's a lot. No, of course. And then I want you to actually say some real talk for a second, because this is not an industry you can wake up and say, "Hey, I'm gonna be the next Jack Nicholson." But what do you want to say to people who have a bad attitude, that wake up, I'm cocky, when it comes to this being a difficult industry? Not everyone makes it. If someone has the wrong attitude, they're not gonna get a part. So if someone is too arrogant and cocky, that they've been in all the school plays, maybe they got to co-star or get a lead part in an off-Broadway show, and they're very arrogant about it. Is there a negative to arrogance in this industry?
Heck yes. You know what? Hell yes. Because you never know who's going to be your boss. You never know. You really never know. You can have a PA who is working on set with you, bringing you coffee, and the next day they're directing a huge blockbuster film, and you treated them wrong and you yelled at them because they didn't make your coffee right, and boom, they don't want to work with you. These are people too. Everyone who's in the industry are human beings, and they want to work and they want to create something beautiful. And if you hinder that or create a negative atmosphere, no one wants that around them. I always say, just treat everyone how you want to be treated. It's really the building blocks, how we all grew up on, show respect, treat people you want to be treating. Sharing is caring. Be very genuine with yourself and your ambitions. Make sure you're clear on what you want. Again, give yourself credit, give yourself worth, and really kind of treat people as they were your family, because when you're on set, that's what it is. Their family.
I like that.
Great. That's awesome.
And again, just to sort of back up here, where did you get your start? Like, where are you from?
So I am originally from Inglewood, New Jersey. My mother is Colombian and my father is Dominican. So I am first generation American, well, Colombian American, Dominican, I guess you could say. So I am bilingual. I do speak Spanish. I can read and write as well. And I also am a fan of learning languages. So I currently do know American Sign Language, and I also just a real amateur at French.
Oh, very nice.
So
Oui.
so I enjoy, oui as well, yes. So I enjoy learning new languages, and being able to communicate with people is probably my strong suit. That's what I like the most. And oh my gosh, American Sign Language is just so expressive. So as an actor, I love it. It's just like, of course that means that. Of course this means this. So
I remember I saw a video. There's anytime there's like a rap concert, right? They've always got the person on the side doing sign language. And I remember a lot of the people who do sign language for the rap concert and stuff really get into it because they're trying to convey the sort of intensity of the rap behind it. And I think it was a Chief Keef concert. I want to say Chief Keef looked over and saw the girl. There's like this one girl who does a lot of the rap concerts because she's really fast.
Yes.
And he saw her dancing, and he didn't realize that she was the sign language interpreter. So he just came over and started dancing on her, thinking that she was just some girl who got up on the stage. He's looking at her like, yo, she's really getting into it. And she's like, she was a good sport about it and everything. But in the meantime, she's like trying to rap what he's saying while she's like dancing with him. It was
oh my god, that's great. It was pretty funny. I bet she's still signing too while she's dancing. She's probably dancing with him. Yeah. Oh, great stuff.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, the deaf community is awesome. It's a whole nother world, and oh my gosh, the people are so nice. I mean, from my experience, I have a friend who is hard of hearing, and he raps, but he also includes sign language in his raps as well.
Oh.
And the thing is, like, he's a great person. He's super cool, super chill. He has 2 dogs who also understand sign language. And he shows them on his profile and stuff like that. His name is Kevin. He goes by Kev Hush. Hush Gang, shouts out to Hush Gang. It's a great atmosphere. And I don't know if you guys seen Sound of Metal.
I haven't.
Have you seen that film?
I haven't. And much to my chagrin, I kind of poked fun at it in one of the earlier episodes. And then once I looked at the movie, I was like, holy shit, this is actually this is a really good concept. Like I'm an asshole.
Oh my gosh.
But I'd never heard of it. So I was like, oh, Sound of Metal. What the hell is that? But
right. Yeah, it's super great film, and just the transition from someone being hearing, who that's what they usually call it, people who do speak normally and stuff like that, or whatever the case is, hearing, and transition into someone who loses their hearing, and how they have to adapt and learn, and then be, I guess, shown the community of deaf people, and it's great. It's great to watch. It's a great transition. I definitely recommend everyone to at least learn the alphabet, which is super fun to just do. And that's how I learned when I was at school. I would just walk down the hallway. There used to be some cubbies down by this main hallway where usually you cross every so often to get to class, from class to class, and it would have the whole alphabet there, and I'll practice it every time I pass it. And it's just great. It's so beautiful and rich and expressive. I mean, when you see someone when you see someone sign, it's like, oh my gosh, there's so much passion in their facial expression, because the thing is, their facial expressions are grammar. It's grammar in ASL. So when you raise your eyebrows or tighten your lips or open your mouth, those are all sorts of grammar, so along with all the hand signals and movements, it's great. It's great language. I definitely recommend everyone to learn at least the alphabet.
Very cool.
Well, guys, I think on that note, we should wrap up. So I want to thank Jason so much for joining us today. Everyone, you have to check out Death on Aisle 5. It's coming out around Halloween, and you will definitely be getting an update from us. You should definitely check it out. It's a 5-part episodic show that I think everyone will enjoy. And from there, we'll definitely have Jason on here again. I do want to actually have you on here regarding your roofing and siding company. I think that would be awesome to discuss the start of that, the experience, and see if we can get you some exposure through this podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love it. I'd love to be back.
So listeners, if there is any questions that you have, you can message me, you can message Tom. We will share Jason Felix's contact information if you want to get in touch with him directly, and have a great week. Jason, thank you so much.
Wait, Jason.
Thank you guys. You guys
Jason,
are awesome.
before
What's
we
up?
go, do you want to shout out like an Instagram handle or anything like that, a Twitter?
Oh yeah, of course. My Instagram is at Sunlix, SONLIX. It's the last portion of my first name and the last portion of my last name. That's where I usually post most of my content for now. And I'm currently in the works of, creating the account for the podcast series, The Death on Island 5, coming out very soon, like Chris said, and I'm super excited for it. You guys are going to love it. You guys are really going to love it.
Very nice.
Awesome. And how about any shout outs?
I like to shout out my mom, Gloria, to shout out my brothers, Larry and Brian, and shout out to all the people who have supported me throughout the years. You guys do not go unnoticed. And oh my gosh, the support group I have and people who do support the arts, I commend you guys because you really make this so much better for us, because this is a very tough career, and just having your support, it just takes a huge load off our shoulders, truly.
Very nice. See, and that was nice and short. They didn't even have to play the music to get you off stage. Very nice.
Yep.
And then the music.
Yeah.
Cues.
Yep, there it is.